Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to my Super Bowl review. Very sorry about that. Which took place Sunday, the 2nd of February 2020. It was between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was a very amazing game. So let me just go for a short review about points that hopefully you watched, and if you didn't watch, points that you could take from this review to know that it was a good game to watch, and hopefully it encourages you to watch the NFL as a game in the future. The final score was the Kansas City Chiefs 31, the San Francisco 49ers 20. Overall, great game. There was no controversy. The reason why I could say that is if you look to my last review about video assistant referees, to the letter of the law, everything went smooth. Plays were reviewed the way they should have been, and as per usual, referees were always in communication with the spectators on hand, and all plays were agreed with. There is nothing that you could say it was unfair, and So, it had everything, had touchdowns, had field goals, had interceptions and whatnot. And it was a live game, and I would call it, in a nutshell, a live action game of chess. Because both teams' offenses all year have been electric. Both teams had a great running game throughout the season, and it was shown in the actual Super Bowl. And right now, I'm going to throw some stats up for you in a moment. Not on the screen or flashy, but I'll tell you the flashy videos and everything. They're coming later. Give me about a couple of months. I'll get that in there. But I'll give you some stats. Who scored what was what in yardage and everything. But both teams basically were evenly matched when it comes to rushing yards and when it comes to passing yards. And it literally went down to endurance. The Kansas City Chiefs have come back a bit. 4 times postseason. 2 times postseason, and 2 times in the main season. They've come back from a deficit of 10 points or more. So they are seasoned in coming back. At half time it was literally 10-all. But by the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, the San Francisco 49ers were 20 points to 10 up. And I think that was the last 8 or 9 minutes of the fourth quarter. So basically, they made a full quarter comeback. I'm trying my best to be as accurate as I can be, but they made a fourth quarter comeback, and they basically won the Super Bowl. So let me give you some stats to give you a good idea of who done what. Okay, guys, what I'm gonna do, I've got my tablet right here. The tablet, I'm just gonna give you I'll give you the total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, so you can get an idea. So right now, what it says, this is live from the NFL.com, the main NFL website. So I'm giving you live stats, so you know. So the total team stats goes as follows. Total team yards, San Francisco 49ers had 351 yards, while the Kansas City Chiefs had 397 yards on the field of play. And this is just going to be totaled up by the passing yards for the San Francisco 49ers of 210 yards in play, and the Kansas City Chiefs threw the passing yards for 268. The rushing yards are 141. That was the San Francisco 49ers. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they rushed for 129. And the average yards for plays is 6.5 for the 49ers to the Kansas City Chiefs 5.3. So as you know, the points scored, like I said, the final score was the Chiefs won the game by 31 points to 20. Another stat here to look at: fumbles lost 0, so no one fumbled, and I'll explain the fumble in a moment. Interceptions thrown 2 of each, which is shocking, but is expected as a Super Bowl. Nerves can come a part of the play. Sacks allowed were San Francisco 49ers were sacked once, while the Kansas City Chiefs were sacked 4 times. So I'm going to stop there, actually, because all the rest, I don't want to confuse everyone. But the reason why I gave those stats live is because I didn't want to get mix up the stats. So let me run you through which each stat tells us. So total yards is basically they total up the passing yards and the rushing yards. The rushing yards, the Kansas City Chiefs came out top of this with 268 to the 49ers 210. Rushing yards is basically running with the ball. It's run from the yards of scrimmage. So once the game starts, they say hot, and the ball's been pitched. People run with it. And like I've mentioned before, the running game is one of the strengths of both teams. Both teams have a very strong running game throughout the whole preseason, midseason, and postseason. So that's before, all the friendlies, through the main season itself, postseason being the playoffs. They've had a very strong running game. And the long short of it is, you're going to know, I'm not going to mention players because there's so many players to mention. But I'll mention one or two key players in a moment. But the rushing yards on both teams, the running game on both teams is very strong. And both teams are up there in the top 5 in terms of the running game stats. So, but as you can see, it's very close. I mean, right now, even looking at the rushing yards, 141 to 129 in favor of the San Francisco 49ers. You're going to see, they ran the ball more than the Kansas City Chiefs. This is what you do with the yardage, what counts. And I have to say, when the backs were up against the wall, the Kansas City Chiefs basically pulled it off. They pulled a fourth quarter comeback, like I mentioned before. And it was amazing to see, because there was a point where the game was over. 20 points to 10 last quarter, it was over. But I'm going to tell you about scoring drives, because you see when it counts. And then even when it comes to passing yards, the Kansas City Chiefs 268 to the 49ers 210. Now there's one play that stands out, and that's the 40-yard pass that came out of nowhere. They were literally, and I believe this was a fourth down situation. Let me double check. I'm going to double check on the stats. Well, I believe there was a fourth down situation where it was all or nothing, and they threw for 40 yards. Amazing. 46 yards to be precise. Amazing throw. And that was the standout play in terms of them coming back into the game. And like I say, a sack, to explain to you what a sack is when you tackle the quarterback directly before he can release the ball. And each team, each team were good with the rushing yards. But in terms of sacks, it was the Kansas City Chiefs were sacked 4 times. Their quarterback was sacked 4 times. And just to let you know, getting a quarterback sack is not good. I mean, it closes down the play instantly. And I'll say 8 times out of 10, if your quarterback sacked, it's usually to loss of yardage, which is not good. In this case, again, they came back from that because they ended up winning the Super Bowl. But if you're going to say anyone, I'm not an NFL expert. I'm still learning the game, but I'm excited about it. But if you ask an NFL expert, even the best expert would say, if your quarterback's been sacked 4 times and the opposing team's only been sacked once, you've lost the Super Bowl. There's no way you're going to collect sacks like that and win the Super Bowl. The best expert will say that. But like I say, that's what made the game really interesting. When the Kansas City Chiefs were out of the game, they found a way to come back into it. So overall, guys, let me give you some play stats. I'm going to give you the quarterback and a couple of the running yards, and I'm going to close up because I just want to give you a review. A great game, and so give me a few moments. All right, so let me give you some stats. I'm going to start with the 49ers. I'm going to give you their 2 top players in each category. They've only got 1 quarterback. So the quarterback threw for 219 yards for 1 touchdown and an interception. And for those that when you hear a quarterback threw for 1 touchdown, it's a direct pass to the receiver and it's a touchdown. Their rushing yard is 12 carries. Raheem Mostert, I hope I've pronounced that properly. 12 carries for 58 yards, 1 touchdown. The next best was 3 carries for 53 yards, no touchdown, and that was Deebo Samuel. In terms of the quarterback, actually had 2 carries for 2 yards. And a quarterback carrying, usually, your quarterback's going to hand off to the rushing, to the runner, or he's going to throw to one of his receivers. So for a quarterback to carry, very talented guy. I mean, he carried twice, only for 2 yards, but he carried when it mattered. Receiving, Kendrick Bourne, he received for 42 yards, 2 receptions, so he collected the ball twice. Deebo Samuel stands out as well, 5 receptions for 39 yards. NFL guys will understand exactly what I'm saying, but I just want to give you a rough idea of the stats of the game, the main stats of the game. There's no fumbles, really, to speak about. Interceptions. Tavares Moore had an interception, and Fred Warner had an interception for the 49ers. Let's talk about the Chiefs. The Chiefs, looking at these stats. All right, so the main quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, he threw for 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. When I mentioned the interceptions on the 49ers, they were the plays that intercepted these balls. And when I give you the people that caught interception for the Chiefs is the 2 interceptions, then you'll understand the concept. I hope I'm not lost you. Right, so the rushing yards, Damien Williams for 17 carries for 104 yards. And you've got Patrick Mahomes himself, 9 carries for 29 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Damien Williams was 1 touchdown as well. So remember when I saw the rushing yards and who actually utilizes the rush properly. I don't want to say properly because the 49ers done it really well, but who done it adequately? It would be the Chiefs, because the actual quarterback himself carried for a touchdown. So he carried for 29 yards and got 1 touchdown. Receiving, Tyreek Hill, 9 receptions for 105 yards. And Sammy Watkins, 5 receptions for 98 yards. And you've got Travis Kelce, 6 receptions, 43 yards, 1 touchdown. And Damien Williams, 29 yards for 1 touchdown. That's after 4 receptions. And the interceptions were Breland and Fuller. Both of them had interception each. But yeah, so they're the stats. They're the key stats. If you want to know all the stats, I'd advise definitely head over to NFL.com. If you click scores, and then you'll see the Super Bowl and go that way. Now, I've given you those basic stats because it was a part of, I was giving you a lot of examples of plays in my NFL preview last week. And quarterbacks have a lot of responsibility on them. And the reason why I mention that is because the 2 interceptions on both sides. Both quarterbacks threw balls they shouldn't have thrown. Even at the beginning of the play, you would think, should he be throwing here? But the nerves of the Super Bowl got to them. You could tell. They're both young quarterbacks as well. Young but experienced. But those interceptions at that point did cost them. Both plays did cost them. But in overall, as you know, KC ended up winning the whole Super Bowl. What's the point? Point is, it was an amazing game. For those of you who watch, please drop a comment. Let me know what you thought. Is there any stats that you pointed out that you could see even from the website or from the NFL.com or from what you saw yourself? Please share. Because I'm hoping more people start to comment. And any NFLers out there, please let me know what your thoughts of the Super Bowl was. And can't end this. It's 30 minutes in. Cannot end this without talking about the Super Bowl halftime show, which was amazing. I don't care what everyone thinks. There's some people that say, there's a lot of hips and it was very sexual. Well, it wasn't. There was a lot of belly dancing, yes, by Shakira, because my wife, even on the night, told me about his she's a belly dancer. I was like, I don't know that, but she can move her hips. But Jennifer Lopez and Shakira done the halftime show. It was a very it was Miami themed. The Super Bowl was in Miami, but it was a very Latino feel to it. It was really good, very good dancing. It was live. It was a lot. You know what I mean? It was shorter than usual, I thought, but the Super Bowl halftime show, if you YouTube it, amazing show. It was really, it really brought home that they're in Miami and they really had fun. The dancers were amazing. The choreography there, whoever was the lead choreographer there, I salute you. Amazing job with Jennifer and Shakira. But the halftime show was amazing, is what I'm trying to say. If I was you, I'd watch it. If you look at the comments, a lot of people are criticizing it, while a lot of people were giving it props. I give it, on the evening, I gave it a 9.7. On a rewatch, I said, okay, let me trim that down to 9.2. And the reason why I give it 9.2 out of 10 is because it wasn't long enough. We needed a little bit more. Maybe about 5 minutes more would have really helped. Because it was that good. The dance was that good. You wanted to see it a bit more. But obviously for TV time and time restraints on the actual game, they had to cut it a little short. But it was really good. Really good choreography. And overall, it did charge up the atmosphere, because you notice when they came back for the second half, there was a bit of a buzz in the air, which is what you want the halftime show to do. So, guys, I'm hoping the review was good enough. You knew the score, you understand a little bit more about the NFL. It returns in September. And you'll see it. This is a good thing as well. Yes, you'll see it live on Sky. You'll see the games on the Sunday evening, Monday night, and a Thursday night. But then the BBC do a show after Match of the Day on a Saturday. They do an NFL show, and I'm hoping the BBC do step up with their NFL coverage. Look out for the London games. The London games have been announced, and I will do another review probably in a few weeks' time talking about the London games and why they are great to attend. Because NFL started this about 5 years ago. Where it's the biggest difference here, they've always played NFL in the UK, but they're usually friendlies and they were usually exhibition matches. But they're actually playing actual season matches in London. They're using Wembley Stadium and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium up there in North London. And they're actual seasonal games. That all games count. They count towards their win-loss ratio in their division. Divisions explained in my NFL review last week. Please look out for it. I mean, I've had a lot of good feedback. No feedback in the comments, but people have messaged me and said, yeah, it was great. They liked it. But yeah, watch that review to understand about divisions and how the structure works. But the London games affect the division. So it's not just the show, yeah, look at the NFL. No. Definitely watch it. Tickets are available now, I believe, because the games have actually been announced. But I will tell the teams and the dates and times on my next review. 16 minutes in, and I'm out. Yeah, I usually take about 30 minutes to explain everything. But it's a short review anyway, guys. Guys, please comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to give me some feedback. Please do. I welcome all feedback, and I wish you a good day, good evening, good night. Take care of yourselves.